Hmm.
Hey, so good to be with you all again. And it's our second class in 2021. So I'm not going to waste time talking about how we made it through 2020. We made it through a coup d'etat this week. And that was different. Um, but nice to have a chance to be with you guys and to think about getting a fresh start on a practice of meditation and understanding a little bit more about how to approach a practice of meditation in our daily life. So what I wanted to do is just to reset a little bit for the new year and go back and cover some basic ideas that might be useful for you as you're approaching your own meditation practice. So I wanted to just go over everything, the basics today, but start as we usually do, just with a bit of meditation to settle in. Um, so as as usual, what we can do is meditate on our body. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to meditate. I'll explain how to meditate on different things as we go through. So we start with our body and our breathing. It's always a great place to start. But then I'll we'll look at some of the various different ways that you can meditate, the different kinds of meditations that are available, and how that all works. So, to get settled in for meditation, initially we find a comfortable position. It's often something we're good at. Carlos looks very comfortable. Um, so, our comfortable position, just making sure that our body is comfortable. We've got a comfortable seat. We just begin by taking a deep breath in and out to reset. And then another deep breath and just invite ourselves to relax. Just send our body and mind the signal that they can relax. And another breath and ask ourselves, what is important right now? So when we're meditating, we are cultivating our inner peace. We're engaging in an action that helps us to build our inner peace. And we build our inner peace by getting control over our mind, and in particular, getting control over our attention, where we're paying attention. Our attention is like the reins on a horse, or like the steering wheel on a car. And often our attention has a mind of its own, moving to many, many things. But here we're going to rein our attention in. So we begin just by becoming aware of the present moment, our present circumstances through our senses. So we become aware of what we can see, what we can hear, smell, taste, and what we can touch. And even if our eyes are closed, even if the room is quiet, there's always some subtle sensory awareness. And that's happening in real time. It's happening right now in the moment. And of all of our senses, our body awareness, our tactile sense, is very special because there is no gap between what we're feeling with our body and the body itself. When we see something, it feels far away, but when we touch something, it is right there with us. It's very immediate. So our body itself can feel itself. We just feel throughout our body, what are the signals we're receiving? And with every breath we take, we notice the feelings in our body change just a little bit. And if our mind switches over to some thought, we bring it back to the body channel. We switch the channel back to the body. This steady stream of experience, maybe tingling feeling, painful feelings, pleasant feelings, neutral feelings, but just noticing how it changes as we breathe. And our body can teach us many, many things. One thing it can teach us is gratitude. We can think about how it is that we've managed to make it to this point in our life. Everyone who's been involved in helping us to be born, grow, survive, thrive, supporting us directly or indirectly. Just being alive is a reflection of the kindness of countless beings. And with our life, we have the opportunity to deeply change, transform our experience of the world. So we can ask ourselves, what kinds of beneficial changes can I make inside myself to help repay the kindness of the world that has been so kind to us? How would we like to direct this life? And then we can think, even though we have just a brief time here, we can think, may this class help us to improve those good qualities we want to cultivate. And with this good motivation, we can open our eyes and arise from our meditation. Okay. All right. So, good thing to start with, and then to always come back to, or regularly come back to, is this idea of what is meditation and what is the point of meditation. So the point of meditation is to fulfill our deepest wish, which is to be happy, and wish to be happy all the time. So whatever we do, everything we do, from the moment we wake up all day long, is all in the service of trying to make ourselves happy. We're trying to be free from pain and problems. And even when we dream, we're dreaming, wishing to get away from dangers and problems, wishing to be happy. And so our dreams, I think Freud said that dreams are wish fulfillment. They're like a playing out of our own wishes. So that wish to be happy drives absolutely everything we do, whether it's a simple activity like having breakfast or lunch, or a very profound, sophisticated activity like creating a business, or writing a paper or something like that. All of these things are done with the motivation to be happy, individually and even collectively. So things like building the economy in the country, and all of these kinds of things are done with the idea that they will make someone happy. Improving public health, all these things. So how do we make ourselves happy? That is an excellent question. So we tend to think, when I when I was a little kid, I used to spend many hours watching TV, just sort of aimlessly. And one of the things that happens if you sit in front of the TV for a while is that game shows come on. So the Price is Right and so forth. So you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Come on down, and you won a new car, right? So I grew up with this, and it's sort of exciting, like this idea of winning stuff and getting stuff. But of course, over the last 100 years in the US, we've had an overabundance of stuff, right? So the US is full of stuff, and all of our landfills are full of all the stuff that was new a few years prior. So there's a strong tendency for us to think that getting stuff will make us happy. And that can be getting physical things, but it can also be getting, degrees, getting credentials, getting money, getting reputation, getting, like, we're born wanting to get stuff. And animals do that too. I've got a couple of dogs, and they've got little toys, and they try to take the toy, and it's their toy, and fortunately they're not intensely possessive, but every living being does that. Squirrels gather nuts and seeds and so forth. So this is, normally we're born, we spend our whole life trying to acquire stuff. It's just an automatic reaction that every animal has. We're trying to gather calories and gather other resources. And then, of course, at some point we die, and all of our stuff goes to somebody else. And so all of our possessions, there's a saying that we don't own anything. You can't own anything. You can just cling to it. Everything that we have is sort of a temporary possession. And what we see, though, over the course of our life is no matter what we get, it's never quite enough, right? And you have that with physical things, but also you have it with accomplishments, you have it with money, you have it with reputation. There's this continuous cravings, constant craving. We're sort of tuned up to have this craving. And it can be stronger sometimes or weaker at other times, but we're always craving happiness. We're always wanting happiness, but we tend to be oriented towards finding happiness by getting stuff, well, for example, currently I'm in a book accumulation spree, which my wife is strongly hoping is temporary. She keeps threatening to cancel all of these books that are coming, but I'm still trying to accumulate a lot of knowledge. But I'm trying generally not to accumulate stuff, but I'm still sort of accumulating experiences, and this whole thing of like building out resumes and so forth. It's all about accumulation and trying to put ourselves in a place where we can be secure, where we can be safe, where we can have a job, where we can have confidence we won't lose the job, where we'll have reputation. And so there's this constant craving for some kind of place of stability and security, and where we can just rest and where we just have enough. Now, we've all lived long enough to know that that place never quite arrives. If you can think back of all the times where you thought, if I just X, I'll have made it, right? I remember when I was a little kid thinking, if I just get to high school, I'll have made it, be a cool big kid. If I could just get to college, right? Get into college. If I could just get a job, if I could just get a promotion, if I could just get a partner, if I could just get this, that, and there's this hopefulness in our mind that happiness shouldn't be too far off, right? It's like it can't be too much further, but there's this, it's a bit of the idea of a mirage in the desert, that it's like this shimmering on the horizon of the desert, that it looks like there's water just over there. Just over there. If I keep going, there should be some water. I think I see it. Right? But that's the analogy of a mirage. It's always in the horizon. It's always in the distance. It's always the kind of carrot that our mind puts in front of us. But if we think back about the times when we've been really happy, there's something kind of subtle that's going on when you're really happy. If you check what state your mind is in, your mind is at ease and at rest and at peace. And we think that we get stuff, and then as a result of getting something, our mind is at ease or at peace. But it doesn't really work that way reliably, because as soon as we get that stuff, it becomes old. It's like buying a new car. As soon as you buy a new car, it becomes an old car. It becomes a used car the moment you buy it. And then the value drops as soon as you drive a new car off the lot. The value drops dramatically. That's true with everything that we get. The value of everything that we get drops dramatically and remarkably. We're always on to the next thing. So that leaves us in the state of not being satisfied. But when we do momentarily have, so we tend to think getting something will lead us to a state where we can be at peace and content. But it works the other way around, where it's when you're peaceful that your mind is happy. That those two, they're actually they arise simultaneous. In fact, they're the same nature. That peace of mind itself is happiness. And so what you've got is you've got direct ways of establishing peace of mind and indirect ways. Trying to be happy through getting something, that is an indirect way of trying to put your mind at peace. It's kind of a very roundabout way, like, okay, well, maybe if I get this. And then we do these long journeys, like these long sort of heroic journeys, trying to think, oh, if I just get, a promotion, if I just get, this or that, we'll have eventually, through all of this agony and pain and struggle and so forth, we'll eventually have gotten something where we can have peace of mind. But there's a shortcut. I guess maybe that's the best way to put it. There's a shortcut, right? And that shortcut is figure out how to make your mind peaceful now. And that is the purpose of meditation. It's like you just go directly to making your mind peaceful and skip as much of the other extraneous stuff as you want. Because the thing is, the extraneous stuff will never guarantee you peace of mind. Only peace of mind will guarantee you peace of mind. And only knowing how to make your mind peaceful gives you a reliable way to get back to peace of mind. And that's what we're doing when we're meditating, is we're finding a direct route back to peace of mind. We're learning how to work with our mind to bring it back to a state of peace. So if we ask ourselves, why is our mind not peaceful? Well, it is that same energy of craving is actually what is making our mind project happiness out there. It means we feel like there's a happiness that's out there. And it ties back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the meditation, that when we see things with our eyes, they look distant. And our eyes are very oriented towards distance, right? Gap. 30% of our brain is for visual processing, more or less. Somebody fact check me if I'm off, but I think roughly 30% of our brain is oriented towards visual processing. We're very visual creatures. When we think about, even when we think about abstract things, there's a little part in our brain called the hippocampus, which is the sort of called the inner GPS, or the inner Google Maps of your brain. And you use it to navigate your way around physical space, but you also use it to navigate around conceptual things. And so if you're remembering, your favorite TV characters, you actually orient them physically in space, in your mind, in some way. So we use our visual thinking for so many aspects of how we go about our life, and so many aspects of how we make decisions. And our visual thinking is all about this gap. And I'm not blaming our eyes, but on this, but it is part of the challenge, is that there's the sense of things are very, very far away. Whatever is the desirable thing must be out there. I can look into your through your kindly turning on your webcams. I can look at your homes and I can say, oh, you've got such a nice home. If I had a nice home like that, I would be, so much happier than my shabby home that I have. Maybe you're thinking the same. Oh, if I just had a painting like that, I'd be so much happier. There's always this idea that there's something outside of ourselves where we need to get to, and maybe somebody else has it. And if somebody else has it, that's called jealousy. Like we think, oh, I want what somebody else has. Normally it's just called craving. If it's somebody else that has it, then it's called jealousy. Or if somebody takes what we have or prevents us from getting what we want, then we become unhappy and we become angry. And so all of these emotional states, they derive out of this just basic wish to be happy. Our anger comes out of our wish to be happy. Now, the problem with anger is that it makes you immediately unhappy. as soon as you get angry, anger destroys your happiness, right? Anger destroys your peace of mind. So if you're perpetually angry with somebody else, that resentment will make you miserable. That's a whole nother subject about dealing with anger. But so meditation is about finding inner peace, and it's finding inner peace through controlling our attention. And the one thing I mentioned, when we pay attention to our body, there's no distance with the body. And so what we're paying attention to is kind of like the channel in our mind. There's something that's live streaming at any given moment in our conscious awareness. And it could be memories of the past or imagination about the future. It could be something we're paying attention to visually. But when we meditate, for example, we can pay attention to our body. And the body channel, so to speak, the body is continuously broadcasting this information about how it feels and how our breathing feels. And when we pay attention to that, what we're doing is we're tuning in to that fairly quiet message from our body. But your attention is, to extend the analogy, your attention is like the remote control, right? And it's right now it's out of our control. It's like it's often kind of on autopilot and it's doing its own thing. So we're learning to get control over our attention and keep bringing our attention back to, for example, our body. Now, we can meditate on all kinds of things because the activity of meditation isn't just breathing meditation or isn't just this or that. It is the action of controlling our attention for the purpose of building our inner peace. So it's very broad. So whenever you're controlling your attention in such a way that it's building your inner peace, that's actually meditating. So if somebody says something kind of offensive to you, something that mildly offends you, you've got a choice at that moment. You can pay strong attention to what they said, and you can chew on it, ruminate on it, mull it over, think about it. What's going to happen is the more you think about that, the more disturbed your mind is going to be, right? How dare you, that's ridiculous. You're even worse than I am. And, the more we think about that, and so we can hold, if I ask you to bring to mind a grudge, we can hold a grudge for years and years. How did the kids at school wrong you, right? Like I said, treading on dangerous territory, right? Because we can bring all of that stuff back to mind because we hold on to these things incredibly well. We don't have a shortage of attention. We don't have a shortage of memory. We can remember all kinds of things. We can pay attention very, very strongly to all kinds of things. Like if I were to, wave a delicious piece of food in front of you, I could hypnotize you, just putting a cupcake up here and just, your mind's just naturally, or whatever is your food of choice. We have an incredible attention power, powerful attention. It's just not fully under our conscious control. Our attention is very much under the control of our instincts, right? So as human beings, we're attracted to certain kinds of food, attracted to certain people seem very attractive, certain gender, appearance becomes very attractive to us instinctively as human beings. There's a lot of things that we're instinctively attracted to. There's a lot of things we've learned to be attracted to through our socialization. And there's a lot of things that are vying for our attention. I've talked in the past about social media and advertisements. All these things are basically trying to vie for our attention. We have no shortage of attention. We just don't have the best control over our attention that we could have. And that's something where it's actually like a muscle that we can build. And that's exactly what we're doing when we're meditating and practicing meditation. We're building or training that muscle of conscious, intentional attention. Um, Now, even just listening and paying attention to a teaching like this is an exercise in paying attention. So you're all incredibly kind to give me a chance to try to share these ideas, but it's a challenge, of course, for us to pay attention even in meetings at work, right? Especially these days, it's all remote meetings and there's not many breaks. And so it's very challenging just for us to pay attention. So learning to control our attention, whether you're using it to find profound inner peace or just using it to be a competent employee, or an attentive spouse, right? Attentive to your children, not run over in traffic. We see all of these people who die because of not paying attention, all the people who die taking selfies on the edge of the Grand Canyon. And it's very preventable. It's a very preventable cause of death. But they died because of their distraction. Right? They died because of their distraction. There's a lot of endless examples. Driving, of course, is a great example of the danger of being distracted. So when we are practicing meditation, what's happening is we're learning how to build our inner peace. And what that does is when we are more peaceful, we're more happy. And when we're more happy, we tend to make wiser decisions. And so this topic of wisdom kind of flows through all of the, wisdom and meditation, they flow together. Wisdom means having, it's an intelligence that is virtuous, means an intelligence that's oriented towards peace of mind and our own and others' well-being. One of the main aspects of wisdom is acting in ways that don't harm ourselves or others. So acting in ethical ways, not lying, not killing, not stealing, not engaging in what's called sexual misconduct, other people's partners and these kinds of things. All of these things are behaviors that normally arise out of our craving. But one of the most common behaviors is just with our speech, not being careful with our speech, lying or hurting other people with our speech, being divisive, these kinds of things. So all of these actions, the more peaceful our mind becomes, the easier it is for us to refrain from those actions. The more we refrain from those actions, the more we are acting in a way that leads to our own and others' happiness long term. And the final thing I wanted to mention just is about when we're meditating, there's always what's called an object of meditation. So the object of meditation is whatever your mind is focused on. And that object of meditation can be our body or our breathing, but it can be the mind itself. It can be a determination to, for example, meditate, or a determination to seek inner peace, or a determination to cultivate our wisdom. All of these are objects of meditation. Meditation object is anything which, when you focus on it, makes your mind peaceful. And so it's very, very subjective that different people respond differently to different kinds of meditations, and you just need to figure out what will work for you. And so we're doing a wide variety of things in these classes, but there are many different objects of meditation. But what they all have in common is that they are having the right effect on you at that time. That at that time, they're helping to make your mind more peaceful. That when you pay attention to them, they're making your mind more peaceful. So that's the practice. And what happens as we build our attention, we gain the ability to bring our mind back more quickly and sustain our concentration longer and longer and longer on our object of meditation. And with that, there arises greater and greater experience of peace. So our experience of peace will grow and increase as we're gaining more familiarity with meditation and more ability to sustain our concentration like that. So that is the journey of learning and practicing meditation and how it fits into our deepest underlying wish, which is to be happy all the time. Okay, so what we can do is to do a little bit of meditation now in conclusion, and then afterwards, if we want to discuss questions and so forth, that'd be great. All right, so this final meditation, what we can do is make a determination to build our inner peace and to take this shortcut to happiness. Taking the shortcut to happiness by focusing directly on inner peace as the object of meditation. So we're meditating here on a determination. But as before, we can start just by finding a comfortable position and taking a deep breath in and out to reset. And we can think our whole life we wish to be happy, constant, ever-present wish. We try endless methods to try to make ourselves happy. But happiness is characterized by inner peace. So the shortcut to happiness is to focus directly on building inner peace itself. Inner peace will directly make us happy. Lacking inner peace, we will never be happy. And so as we feel our breathing with every breath, we can think, this is my life force, this is my determination, and I'd like to direct every breath towards building inner peace. I'd like to direct my life at the deepest level towards building inner peace. And we hold this intention. If our mind becomes distracted, we return to this intention. I want to use each breath to take me closer to inner peace. Use my life to build inner peace. And then finally, we can think through meditating in this way. We have changed our brains, we've changed our mind and laid down stronger inner pathways, building this habit, strengthening this. And such small changes can unfold as massive changes over time when we build on them. We can develop the wish that the small changes we made here today will be the seeds and the foundation for increasing our capacity to help others and to repay the kindness that we've received. And then we can open our eyes and rise from our meditation.